I don't know about teaching, but I will ramble on for a few minutes. That's for damn sure. I'm a big fan of what you guys have going on in Statesboro. When I was at Elon, we were all part of the Southern Conference together. So I've been to Paulson and to Hanner more times than I can even count. Great atmosphere. You guys are definitely part of a brilliant program. A lot of history, and what you're learning now is certainly going to be a great springboard for moving you forward. My story is, I was thinking about it today, might be best summed up in the 1998 movie with Gwyneth Paltrow called Sliding Doors. Has anybody seen that movie? Raise of hand. It's a rom-com. I'm not normally into that type of thing, but the premise of that story is that she has the ability to take one of two subway trains. She gets on this one happens. She gets on this one, that one happens. And if you think about your life, and I'd like for you to think about your life moving forward at this point, can you find a sliding door inside your experience in college athletics? I think that's part of the key. And maybe that is part of the bait that keeps you guys hooked into this story over the next 15 minutes or so. I started off as an English major in college. I didn't have any idea that I wanted to be in sports administration, which I think is a bit of a testament that over the course of your 40 years, you may change professions, you may change jobs 3 or 4 times. What it is that you are gunning for now may not be where you finish when you start drawing that Social Security check eons down the road. When I was at East Carolina, I was spending my summers in minor league baseball as a clubhouse manager. And really, a clubhouse manager is no more than cleaning the balls, cleaning the shoes, socks and jocks, doing all the laundry, making sure the carpets are clean, that the kids and the managers have all that they need from inside the clubhouse. But that was some really good behind the scenes knowledge for me to say, all right, sports administration in some way, shape, or form may be where it is I want to go next. I did the math one day. I was making like $1.25 an hour. So wasn't making a whole lot, but man, that foundation was huge for me. So when I got out of school, I didn't really know which direction I wanted to go. I was an English major. Do I want to go teach? I had some sports administration experience. Do I want to go try to do that? So I picked teaching. Stable, right? You're in it for 25, 26 years. You draw full retirement, full benefits. Sounded like a pretty good deal at someone at 23. Well, a couple of months into my tenure as a teaching assistant, the governor of the state of North Carolina decided to go through cutbacks in salary. And really, the last hired was the first fired. So I got waxed and I had to go figure out what was next. And I figured, hey, sports administration got me to a point. Why don't we explore that? So at the time, there were 161 minor league baseball clubs. And because I had spent 5 summers with a minor league team, I figured I would try to shop my wares and see if I was of value to anybody. Now, back then, we didn't have these fancy computers, right? We had like typewriters. And so I typed 161 letters, 161 envelopes to each team, 1 letter per team. Hey, here's my experience. Do you want to interview me? I got 4 responses and a stack of flush letters. And I don't know if you've ever gotten like 150 flush letters from like a minor league ball team, but the logos on the envelopes are really cool. The logos on the letterhead really sharp. But when the letter comes and it's that thin, you know it's not good news. So 4 clubs had an interest. I interviewed with 2 of them. One that hired me turned out to be right down the road. And after 3.5 years of great experience, sales, ballpark operations, community relations, communications, branding, marketing, 3.5 great years with them. The owner sold, new owner came in, new owner had his own general manager. Guess what happened? That's right, got fired again. So if you're keeping track, I've been fired twice at this point. So I am on the verge of getting married at the time. I've got nowhere to go. So I pick up a part-time job across the street with an ice rink, and I learn how to drive a Zamboni. It's my job to clear the ice 4 or 5 times a day, but still within sports, still stayed active. Elon University gave me a call. I had been handling public address for them, and Elon said, we need somebody to handle public address for our basketball season. Would you have an interest? Been doing it a little bit in high school. I'm going to go back to that sliding door here in a few minutes. And I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. So handle public address. And at the end of that season, they said, look, we need somebody to start a brand new marketing department for us. We know you. We've seen you over the course of the year. We're familiar with you. Do you want to start this new department for us? You betcha. So in my own backyard, I had a chance at a Division II school to start an athletic marketing program. Elon had been Division II for about 5 years, and they had already had their sights set on Division I within the next 2 years. Now, in college athletics, that is a meteoric rise. I don't care what decade it is. I don't care what school it is. To go from D2, actually NAIA, to Division II to Division I, all in 7 years, is a pretty big deal. So they needed someone to get a corporate sales program going, a radio show, and a regular play-by-play broadcast going. So they chose me. And I was there for about 14 years before a new athletic director came in. And yeah, that's right. New athletic director wanted to bring in his own people, and I got the boot. So if you're keeping tabs, I was fired 3 times, and I got tired of being fired. So I opened up my own consulting business. As Cam mentioned, I was a past president, or I am a past president of NACMA. And being on a national level in terms of leadership really gave me a portfolio, along with all of my local experience in minor league baseball, radio, college athletics. It gave me the tools to operate and launch my own business. So in 2010, the state of North Carolina, on May the 4th of 2010, gave me approval to use the name 2D Consulting LLC. And that was the birthday of my company. Thankfully, 11 years strong now, and my company is built on 2 buckets, really. Bucket number 1 is brand assessment for college athletic programs and conference commissioners. Now, what does that mean, brand assessment? Well, it's my job to go in and, as the 2 words indicate, assess the brand of either the university's athletic department or the conference overall. And that means interviewing, that means researching, that means gathering as much information and providing a detailed report, and then working with either the athletic director or the conference commissioner to see some of the findings through, some of the solutions that I think could apply, and being a partner for them. Now, bucket number 2, and I'll challenge you to find it on the YouTube at some point tonight, I would look up Mascot Stampede Steamboat Springs, because bucket number 2 for me is project management inside the world of sport. And one of the cool gigs that I got to help launch was the Mascot Stampede and Steamboat. It's exactly what it is. We brought college mascots to the mountain for continuing education, some light Olympics out on the slopes. And I was able to do that with Dave Raymond. Dave is the original Philly Fanatic. So bucket 1, project management or brand assessment, bucket 2, project management. And the way that I look at it, folks, in these sliding doors, if I don't get fired 3 times, then I don't have an opportunity to do these really cool projects. If I don't have the opportunity to work in sports marketing, to meet really good people along the way, then I don't have the chance to get the invite from Cameron to be with you guys. So let me quickly go back to the sliding doors. When I was a high school sophomore, I was walking down the hall to my next class, and I normally take 2 or 3 different routes to get to this class. But on this day, I went down this hallway, and as I was walking down, the athletic director stepped out of his classroom and said, "Durham, I need a public address announcer tonight for the JV football game. Do you want to do it?" Well, you remember at 15 years old, if an elder asked you to do something, you didn't want to disappoint them. So what did you do? You said yes. Well, I said yes and got up to the press box and had no idea what I was doing. But I didn't want to disappoint, right? So I pushed the button. I had a spotter with me, and I figured out how to be an announcer for a high school football game. Sliding door number 2, I told you that I got fired from a teaching job, and then I went into a minor league baseball gig. Well, at the time I had interviewed in minor league baseball, I also interviewed for a teaching position. And I had this feeling that on this particular day, they were both going to call, and they were both going to offer me the job. Not being pretentious, not being egotistical, it just felt that way. So when I woke up that morning, I said, all right, whoever calls first, I'm taking that job. I'm unemployed. I got no prospects. So why screw around? First call came from the minor league team. They offered me the job. I took it. I kid you not, 90 minutes later, the school system called. What if they had called in reverse? What if the school system had called before the minor league team? I'm not talking to you. Chances are I'm not married to my wife. I'm probably not here at the beach, because that's how things have evolved. So in your time in sports administration, you're going to have those moments of inflection. And I'm really hoping you get the chance to say, this is one of those things Tripp talked about. This is a sliding door in my life. Now, don't think about it to the point where you get paranoid. Should I go this way or that way? In your own gut, you're going to know which way to go, but recognize that you are in that moment, because this sports life is pretty cool. And I think you've already decided that on your own. You know, and if I didn't walk down that hallway that day, and if he didn't ask me to be part of public address that night, I wouldn't have developed the affinity that I have for public address. I certainly wouldn't have gotten to the point to where I am now 12 years in as being the PA voice inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. I'm my 13th year at football with Duke, handling multiple projects for the ACC, including being their tournament announcer for men's and women's basketball. I actually tomorrow have a chance to have a one-on-one fireside chat in a big room with the new commissioner of the ACC, Jim Phillips. So just the two of us on stage. If I take one of my 3 different routes to go down to my next class that day years ago, I'm not doing this either. So Cam, on the verge of rambling, which I'm really close now, that's sort of my background. That's my story. That's where I've been. If you head to my website, which is 2dconsultingllc.com, you may learn a little bit more about me. I changed my name in the name bar to reflect my Twitter handle. If there's anything that we discussed tonight, if there's anything that I pass along to you, do me the favor and follow me on Twitter, because then that's an indication that I left you one little nugget in sports administration that you might be able to work with. Now, don't follow me just for the sake of doing it. If I truly have landed something, click the follow, and then that, again, gives me an indication. All right, so rambling, hyperventilating. Cam, let me stop there and let me see if there are any questions or thoughts, as I've just gone verbal diarrhea into everybody's head.
Nothing in the chat box right now, but since we're at a stopping point, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask?
My ego certainly doesn't need it, but if you've got something that you would like a little bit of insight on, please let me know. It's might be where you are in your station in life right now. It could be anything. Might be one of the easiest sessions you've ever had, Cameron, if this is the case.
Hey, Tripp, I'll ask a question.
Daniel, yeah, and then Eric will get to you right afterwards.
So, you know, I've seen you at NACMA plenty of times over the years. And can you talk to these guys a little bit about the importance of, you know, they don't have to attend NACMA and NACTA, but the importance of networking and trying to get to know other people across the college athletics or sports industry, just to grow their network and learn more about the business?
Most certainly. So I think the greatest value, and Daniel sort of referred to it, the greatest value of convention is not the programming inside the convention rooms. It's actually the conversations you take on in the hallways during the change of sessions. If you earnestly decide that you want to go meet someone, not for the sake of being able to name drop them, not for the sake of you being able to say, guess who I know, and we had a chance to talk at convention. If you truly want to go meet somebody, then convention is the place to do it. And you have no idea where that relationship could take you in time. I'm fond of saying, Daniel, that you never undervalue a handshake, because at convention, you'll shake somebody's hand and then you look back 25 years later and you're like, I've known them 25 years. And where did we meet? Oh, we met at convention. And what I love about convention too is that when you're in those hallways, you're commiserating. They got the same problem you've got. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. Doesn't matter what college. Everybody's still fighting fan attendance. Don't have the music right? Everybody's got those same ailments, but it allows you to get a booster shot knowing that you're not alone. And then you could ask that person, so what are you doing to combat that? Whatever that is. Then 25 years later, again, you're good friends. So hopefully, Daniel, that helps. Eric, you got your hand up. What do you got?
Hey, I just had a question, I guess about kind of like, what would you say would be the biggest advice for, I guess, for each stop that you described, what would you say would be your biggest takeaway so far as what you decided to kind of absorb and kind of soak up from each experience, and how did that kind of impact your career in that sense, and how did it give you kind of confidence to know that what you're doing is, you know, kind of something that you enjoy doing?
So I could attack this in several different ways, and I'll start here. Before my last firing at Elon, and my relationship with the provost is like number two, right? President's left or right hand. Provost is the academic guru of campus. Pretty good relationship with the provost at Elon. Called him up the night before what I thought was going to be the firing, and it turned out to be the firing. And I said, listen, I haven't done anything wrong. My reports, my job reviews have gone really, really well. What should I do? And he said, listen, if you take the highest road possible, if you give me reason to support you through your transition, then I'll be there. If you take a low road, then I won't be able to give you any cover of any kind. Now I'm paraphrasing, but that's the general sense. So Eric, my first lesson through all of that is you have to take the highest road possible. There may be a moment in your transition, and this may actually help answer one of the other questions that was in the chat. There's going to be a moment in which you are let go. That is just a fact of professional life. But in that moment, you can react one of two ways. It almost goes back to sliding door. You need to take the highest road possible, thank them for the opportunity, ask if there's anything that they need from you during the transition, or you can go the other way. You could pull a fit, you could go ballistic, you could do something that in 5-10 years time, that people are going to remember. Because what may happen in your life is that people over the years will remember you as being a really good person. But if you're not careful in that moment of impact, they may forget all of that, and they may only know you for that one episode. When you get older, your world gets smaller, Eric, meaning that the more experiences you have, the more your world becomes to the point to where it's 6 degrees of separation. I didn't know you knew him. I didn't know you knew her. At 53, my world is here because of the number of connections that I've made, honest connections. Now, if at 27, when I got fired for the second time, if I'd have acted the fool, I don't think my world would be this small because people wouldn't want to have anything to do with me. This is a marathon, right? Job, career, it's not a sprint. Think about the lane that you are in, stay in that lane really, really well, and have some really cool baton passing along the way, if I'm going to stretch this analogy out to the worst possible point that I could. Back into the chat, I don't know if I answered that fully. Overcoming change, authority. What I've noticed about the change in authority is that their views may be the same as yours, but their vision is different than yours. And if you can buy into somebody's vision when they come in new, awesome. Chances are you got a shot at sticking around. If you don't believe in their vision, if you can't see their vision, if you don't believe in their personality, then chances are it's not going to be a good fit. And fit's a really big deal in the world of sport. It might be a really big deal in the world of plumbing. I don't know. I've never been a plumber, but if you fit in well with the culture, then you got a really good chance of staying on board. I think that was a testament to my public address at Elon. They sort of tried me out for 6 months during the basketball season to see if I might be a good internal fit and for starting a marketing department. You know, when you raise your hand and you volunteer, I know this is a bit of a sidebar, but when you raise your hand and you volunteer, you get a chance to go do something that nobody else gets to do. And I know that we're recording, but try not to share this in any great detail. What I do at Duke for men's basketball, it is a volunteer position. Just about every position on that table is a volunteer position because there are 900 other people that would love to do that job at Cameron Indoor. I'm happy not to take any payment for that because look at the experience that they're giving me in return. It's a bit of a quid pro quo, I guess. They're offering me the chance to do something and I'm offering them the chance to give back. I'm raising my hand, volunteer, get involved. Again, I know I went off on a side rail there, but I'm good at that. Other questions, other thoughts? I'm not offended if there aren't any. Cameron, did we do our job?
Yeah, everything that you've shared so far has been great. I've prepared a few questions as well, just to make sure that we're covering our bases, and the people
Sure.
that aren't raising their hands right now, they're going to think of questions later. So we're going to try and answer them before they think of them.
Go.
So my question for you is, transitioning from working and starting the own athletic marketing department within Elon to starting your own consulting company, what were some of the challenges of going from within an athletic department and facing those challenges to now you're outside of an athletic department in a consulting role? Maybe you don't know the day to day or what it's like in that department. How do you transition that to say, okay, here's the best possible solutions for, the brand, for the conference, whatever it is that you're consulting for?
Two thoughts. One, you can't fake knowledge. So given that I've got a pretty expansive background in the world of sport, I can get a pretty good idea of what it is the operations are inside of an athletics department. I've walked in the shoes, right? Now, I may not know the culture to the nth degree, and you don't know it until you live it, but you got a pretty good idea. So knowledge is power. And the other part of that is, and it's something that we've all experienced, and we're all experiencing it right now. We're not in the same room together. There's great value in being able to darken somebody's doorway, lean against the door frame and go, hey, Bill, I got a question. Hey, let's work through an idea that I have. You can do that in this forum with these tiny 2x2 boxes, but not being on somebody's campus, not working within the throes of an athletic department every day. Cameron, that was a tough adjustment. College athletics is a people business. I am a people person. I get the chance to go visit people on campuses on a daily basis, but I'm not in there on an hourly basis. I'm not going to lunch, not going to the coffee shop. Again, not just sitting around somebody's office and BSing, trying to work through a scenario. That's a tough mental adjustment. And then on top of that, I had to write my own healthcare check. Oddly enough, my wife is in healthcare, but the plan was prohibitive for me to be a part of her policy. Got to write my own cell phone check, right? Because I don't have somebody paying it for me. But on the flip side, Bermuda Short Wednesdays around the office are pretty cool. So it sort of works. It just depends on what your goals are. Are you going to chase a job or are you going to chase a lifestyle? At 41, when I got fired for a third time, I was ready to chase the lifestyle instead of the job. Hopefully that helps.
Absolutely. Asking, Eric's got another question. Eric, I'm going to pass it over to you then.
Hey, sorry, my mic was muted. So how important would you say that, are you of the belief that the passion that you had, your natural passion for a certain thing, whether it's sports or whatever it is, do you believe that it's what you are passionate about is something that you should definitely make part of your career? Does it? Because I kind of think that if you're already passionate about something, that everything just kind of falls into place. Are you of that same belief?
Yeah, natural passion, Eric. I've never heard it put that way, but I like the way you framed it. Here's my litmus test. Sunday night, 10 o'clock. Do you want to go in tomorrow morning or not? Mondays can suck, right? Fridays are awesome. Thursdays are a little not quite as good as Fridays, but Thursdays and Fridays are great. If you do not want to go in on Monday morning, and if at 10 o'clock on Sunday night, you tell yourself that, you don't have the natural passion. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't overcome. It doesn't mean that you just need to buck up and go do what you need to do at this part of your life. But in time, you've got to ask yourself, your words, not mine. Do I have the natural passion?
Hey, I had a quick question.
Go, Jimbo.
So I heard you mention about you work with the ACC and Duke. Are there any other major companies that you work with?
It depends on the definition of major. I can tell you that my portfolio over the last 10 years has included the NCAA. A cool project there, and I know that some of you will chuckle. A good friend of mine is the national coordinator of men's basketball officials. And he called me one day and he goes, Trip, I want to take on a branding project to understand the brand of men's basketball college officials. Well, a buddy of mine said, I can tell you that over a cup of coffee. So if you think of the NCAA as a major agency, I've worked with conferences on the East Coast, private schools on the West Coast. I've gone as far north as Binghamton, New York, as far south as Palm Beach, Atlantic in Florida. So I don't know that there are a lot of for-profit sports that I've worked with. As you're stretching my brain here, it's probably more nonprofit type of agencies. Steamboat is an exception, but that's probably about it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. And guys, I've got about 6 more minutes.
Actually, I do have another one. I know a lot of us, I know some of us are towards the underclassmen of our years in college. Kind of any of advice to take for our next 2 to 3 years, sometimes even for grad school, like any advice on that?
Yeah, start working on it yesterday. You thought as a freshman in high school that you wouldn't be a senior in high school, right? Look what happened. That time evaporated. Be thinking about a master's program only if you think it is going to benefit you in your career. There are landscapers that probably don't need to go to grad school because they're going to get on the job training. However, if you want to get into college athletics, a lot of colleges love the idea that X number of people throughout the institution have an advanced degree. Now, is that for their own optics? Is it because it provides a little bit more academic sway for them? I don't know. But if you're going to work in college athletics, people like to see that master's hanging on your wall. So decide early if you need that secondary degree. Decide now that you are going to start working on what happens after you walk across the stage and get your diploma, because that will be here tomorrow. Promise that.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Cody.
You said that you applied to 150 something minor league teams. So we're all going to be looking for opportunities in 1 to 2 years. I was just wondering how many jobs we should apply for. Should we apply for more of a what we love, what we're really looking into, or should we just apply to whatever we want, more the merrier?
Yeah, what you don't want in time, whether you're in your early 20s or your late 50s, you don't want somebody looking at your name and go, look at Cody. He's applying for everything. There was a former coach in the NFL that he applied for every single football head coaching job he could, even at the Division III level. And it got to be the point to where we were laughing anytime somebody heard that story. So you have to figure out what type of reputation you want. What helped me in that minor league baseball story is that I had 2 things going for me. I had an English degree by which I could say comfortably, I know how to write, I know how to communicate. And I also have minor league background experience inside the clubhouse. So I understand what the field needs. Later on in life, somebody told me, if you take care of 2 people in minor league baseball, you take care of everything. Take care of the clubhouse guy, because he takes care of the players on the field. Take care of the public address announcer, because he or she takes care of the fans in the stands. they meet in the middle and everything else just sort of works out. So it really just depends on what it is that you want to track on and which part of that world that you want to be in at that age. And again, you'll change jobs, Cody, 4 times at least. So don't think it's the end all and be all once you get out there. So shotgun the resumes if you feel like you need to, but be very conscientious about how it is that may be viewed depending on the industry that you're shotgunning into.